At my blog at philcooke.com, I wrote recently about whiners, dealing with whiners on your team. Now, let me just say this. There are people on your team with legitimate problems, legitimate grievances. They have legitimate issues they need to talk about or complain about. I get that. You know, there's so many legitimate things, but a whiner in my book is somebody that never stops. They're never happy. They never get what they want, and they end up trying to manipulate people into getting what they want through whining, because people get so sick of hearing them whine, they just, fine, I'll go get you coffee. I'll go do that report for you. I'll write that up for you. I'll do your work for you. Just stop whining. So I'm really down on whiners. I just don't think you need to be anywhere near them. And if you're working with one, I wrote down a couple of things here on my computer that I wanted to share with you that I thought would be the keys for helping solve that problem. Number one, get away from them. Move your desk, move your office. If you could possibly do it, work it out with your boss, but if you could possibly do it, just get away from the physical proximity to a whiner. Most of the whiners will impact the people nearby the most, so if you can get away from them, do it. The second thing is switch the conversation. When they start whining, doing their routine with you, just immediately switch the conversation. Talk about what's going well, what's working. Ask them. It'll break their train of thought, and suddenly they'll be confronted with, okay, what do I need to come up with what's working, what's doing good? Break that conversation. Number three, put them on the spot. I often ask whiners, well, what would you do about the problem? How would you fix it? They usually don't have an answer because they're not interested in an answer. They're using their whining to manipulate you and other people in your office. So put them on the spot. Ask them how they'd fix the problem. See what they say. A fourth thing I would say is let them know you're not interested. I often will just tell people, that's not something that bothers me. That's not something that I think is a real issue. That's not something that is holding back our company. I just don't think it's a big issue, and walk away. You just take the wind out of their sails. So let them know. We think we have to be nice to them all the time. We don't want to be rude, and you don't have to be a jerk by any means, but just let them know that's not something you're really interested in. And finally, number five, if you're a leader, I would have scheduled times for venting. With our team at Cooke Media Group, I'll often get everybody together and say, okay, what can we do better? What's frustrating you? What's driving you nuts? And we'll talk about certain clients, or we'll talk about certain processes, the way we do things. We'll talk about our online presence. We'll talk about any number of things that people on the team feel is holding them back. And I've discovered that by doing that, they get all those things out and nobody on the team becomes a whiner. So before you write me and give me an angry letter and justify all the reasons people should be whining, I'm just going to tell you, legitimate complaints are okay. Legitimate problems are okay. Leaders should deal with those on a regular basis. But when they move up to being a whiner, where they never actually stop and they're not really interested in a solution, they start manipulating people into getting what they want through their whining, that's when things have to end.